For how many of you is this your first PechaKucha? PechaKucha. PechaKucha. All right. So this one, I didn't have anything for this. I decided to make a story, out of 20 slides basically, and we needed a title because you have deadlines and stuff. So I just came up with this title, and then with my esteemed colleague and girlfriend, creative force, we kind of sort of threw ideas and words together, and we got this. So this was kind of like a rough draft, sort of, what's going to be, what is this going to be about? And so we have our two heroes that are kind of these two twin girls, and they're kind of questing for this magic telescope, and they kind of involve this railroad battalion. Now this is these are all just pen doodles. This is the legend about some ancient Indian king commissions his master astronomer to make a telescope to look into the stars, and he kind of sets it up. There's the whole backstory about him setting it up where you need two people to look through the lens, otherwise nobody can see it. It's like all these details make sense later. So now we've fast forward through time, so we got our heroes sort of getting into, I guess, little girl trouble, and they like collecting knickknacks and treasures, and they see this key that is they think nothing of it. They're pretty much just being little girls all points of the story. I wanted to keep them sort of just kind of carefree, and before they can learn how to share, they get distracted by this old guy who just passes by and says, hey, that looks like the key from the legend with the telescope and the blah, 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 and it looks just like that key, So they kind of get inspired to go out and look for this whole, hidden telescope treasure room type of scenario, and this was sort of, like I said, this was just a experiment in creativity. So pretty much I would draw, I would start sketching, and then I would sort of fill in with pen, and in real time the story, the subject matter was all unfolding, and it was a really neat sort of process. I destroyed 5 of my best pens doing this. So they're sipping some tea. You got a cloud in the background, but I was wanting to sort of foreshadow. Maybe it's not a cloud. It's kind of darker looking. Maybe it's smoke. So anyway, they hop a train because trains are fun. They have no they throughout the story they're not really concerned about what's going on in the world. They're just kind of doing in their own little girl world, I guess. And I have no idea what that entails because I have no experience in that department. So in between, playing games and stuff on the passengers of the train, which, we'll, I guess, put together that it's an army train transporting army people. They're daydreaming about what they're going to be, doing with this telescope that they eventually get to seek. So eventually, after playing all these games with these superstitious, kind of twitchy, paranoid men, they're, obviously soldiers, and they're probably not doing too much for their nerves, pretending to be ghosts and haunting them. But one of them gets caught, and I guess in the heat of the moment, she doesn't want to get her whole adventure stopped, so she kind of lies and says, hey, I am actually a reincarnated prophet or something. I'm sent here to help you guys get the treasure. See, I got proof. And so she convinces them that she's sort of mystical and empowering, and they buy it. So they're trying to convince their commander, who is not interested in that. He actually just gets orders that they gotta go back the way they came and do some more battling. It'll probably be a losing battle. So it kind of sets up this premise. Like I said, this is a story that is just evolving in real time. I drew all these in a week, pretty much, collectively. So, using their kind of identity, because they don't know that there's 2 of them, so they kind of use some trickery as twins and convince the battalion, like, you could either go back to this losing battle, or you could come with us and help us. They don't even care about the battle. They just sort of want to get their, toy. So they convince to throw away with the orders, and they take the battalion kind of on this little quest to find the treasure room. And Yeah, this is actually, I looked up in India, there's this like kind of loop around bridge. They have a bridge like that. That's not like an exact replication. So anyway, they finally get to the cave, and you know, over thousands of years, it's kind of impassable from the stalactites, and the stalagmites are in the bottom, I think. So anyway, they built their little railroad, you know, just trying to get into this treasure room scenario, you know, and they let the prophet down first, of course. And, you know, pretty much their whole, you know, kit and caboodle is falling apart. So they don't have a way back, really. It's the only way to go is forward. And some of these are a little bit rougher, because once I ran out of my good pens, I had to start using these not so good pens. And I kind of developed this, you know, scenario, this little reflex. So they're in the treasure room. They're arguing over their toy, and luckily the battalion makes it, you know, out of their perilous situation, and they see the truth that they've been had by these two girls that aren't mystical at all. So they kind of confront the girls about that, and luckily the treasure exists. Otherwise, you know, they'd be in bigger trouble, I guess. But yeah. So now that since they can't go back the way they came, they only have one way to go. To take the treasure with them, the only way they can take it with them is to sort of throw it over the side of this kind of cave into the cliff scenario. So I thought of this shot that it was going to be treasure raining down from the sky. And I think that's more of like an American kind of folklore myth type of thing. I don't think India, this has nothing to do with actual India or anything I read. It was just sort of, well, I need a story. So everybody's happy because there's gold raining from the sky, but they can't play with their new toy without the key. But the soldier kind of imparts this lesson, you know, thank you for tricking us. Otherwise, we would have been toast, and we would have just went to battle. So, you know, don't fight all the time. And if you share, you know, yourselves and share the treasure, you both can have a treasure within yourselves, or some moral like that. These stories need morals, why not? So, and lo and behold, they got their next adventure. You know, looking into the hidden dimensions of the sky. And that's basically what I came up with. So, thank you.